Hi everyone, it's Anne Sinclair from Digestive Detective. Today we're on part 2 of exercise and the psychology of our gut connection I'm going to talk about today. So if you've joined me today, I'm glad you have. We had a brief look at the guidelines yesterday about anaerobic versus aerobic exercises. Today I want to talk to you about the connection between our gut and exercise. And gut health in general. So if there's anybody out there who is a runner, anybody? So runners in particular can probably attest to the relationship between exercise and gut health. So runners' guts is a common thing where the act of running, which is dominated by our sympathetic nervous system, so our fight or flight, switches off our rest and digest, our parasympathetic nervous system, and can cause us tummy troubles. For some, though, this can be a great relief if they suffer from constipation, but not always advantageous when you're having a run. But there's a lot of good stuff which we're only really just starting to understand with gut health and exercise. So I wanted to quickly look at 3 ideas which is currently coming up in the research at the minute. Some key points I'd like to quickly point out are the recent theories around exercise positively affecting the gut motility and the process of endotoxins. So we talk about endotoxins all the time. I mean, I blab on about them relentlessly. So we're talking about bacterial elements which scientists believe may play a role in increasing the risk of chronic illnesses through the mechanism of increasing our systemic inflammation right through our body. So some bacteria have inbuilt endotoxins which they release and which causes all sorts of problems, pain and that sort of thing. So if you listen to some of my previous feeds or have read some blogs, and you may understand the functions that function of our guts and acting as our gut barrier, and to keep so our gut barrier keeps unwanted bacteria and bacterial components, including endotoxins, out. So that's why it's really good to keep your gut bacteria, in good shape, and if you have leaky gut, to get that fixed. So a lot of the work I do in clinic, or a lot of what I talk about, is about having a stronger gut barrier. If we have stronger gut barrier, we prevent the endotoxins from leaving our intestines and passing through the leaky gut, entering into our bloodstream. This is where the endotoxins start to cause inflammation. So I talk about a lot of foods that we eat to improve our gut barrier, but we're now also finding that exercise is really useful for helping reduce the amount of endotoxins entering our blood. So who knew? When we exercise, we increase our butyrate producing bacteria, and butyrate producers are the ones that help tighten our tight junctions, proteins in our gut. So we have a barrier that's really tight like that, so nothing can get through, and if you have a leaky gut, it's quite open, so things can pass through. So it helps protect the tight junctions and keep them tight, and that automatically helps improve the intestinal bacteria and reduces the amount of endotoxins that go through, basically. So exercise along with a gut-loving diet can ensure that your gut bacteria stays on track, basically. Secondly, research is finding that when we exercise, particularly if we're consistent with that, our bodies mount a better response to the endotoxins, and they're far more effective at clearing them from our bodies if we exercise consistently. I know that kills us, but it's a good thing to do. The second way that exercise improves our gut health is through improved gut motility. If your abdomen has smooth muscles that contract and relax, think of your organs, and then you have skeletal muscles as well. So there's been lots of recent studies, but they have been small. They do show promising effects that this is going to help us long term if you're a continuous exerciser. So basically what researchers are telling us is that regular mechanical exercise of our abdominal skeletal muscles in some is good for us. So in some small pilot studies, they're finding that gut transit time and constipation can be improved with abdominal exercises. So what does this mean for you? If you're a long-standing chronic constipation sufferer, perhaps along with more water and getting into the gut-loving diet, constant abdominal exercises may improve your gut transit time. So which means it'll speed up your transit time. So that's a good thing. Improved transit times lowers your risk of SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. It also improves your gut bacteria, because the right gut bacteria is flourishing. You're not getting the ones who are bad because the food's sitting there fermenting all the time. So tomorrow I'll be posting on what to eat after training. Please don't be afraid to ask any questions about exercise in general. You know, there's lots of exercises out there, and I think it's really important to find ones you love. So if you're thinking about seeing me as a practitioner or booking in for a free 15 minutes, you can do that by going to www.digestivedetective.com.au, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow to tell you what you can eat after you've been training. Have a great day, everybody.